The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. At that time, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she went to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve all alone? Tell her to help me. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. One thing is needful, and Mary has chosen the good portion, which shall not be taken away from her. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise be to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Lead questions for today. If you have your pen, you write it down. Question number 1. Name 2 of the godly virtues displayed by Abraham in today's first reading. Genesis chapter 18, verse 1 to 10. Abraham displayed certain godly virtues. Name 2 of them. Question 2. What is the relationship, if any, between the parable of the Good Samaritan we had last Sunday, Luke chapter 10, verse 25 to 37, and the story of Martha and Mary we have heard today, Luke chapter 10, verse 39 to 42. What is the relationship between these two stories, if any? Question 3. In today's gospel story, Jesus declares that Mary has chosen the better part. Mary has chosen the better part, and it shall not be taken away from her. What is this better part? And listen, question 4. And I want you all, whether you are going to answer or not, to think seriously about this. In these days of endless distractions, from mobile phones, smartphones, social media, TV, etc., what steps are you taking or will you take towards living and helping others to live a reflective Christian life, daily listening to the Lord? Yes, Emmanuel.
I would like to answer question number 3. In today's gospel story, Jesus declared that Mary has chosen the better part. What is this better part? Okay, the better part Mary has chosen was Mary sat down with Jesus Christ. Mary listened carefully the message of Jesus Christ, while Martha was distracted because she left Jesus Christ, went to serve Jesus Christ.
Just one sentence is what I want to. One phrase.
Okay, one phrase is Mary listened to Jesus Christ.
Mary listened to Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Okay. Give him, what percentage of clap do we give him? 60% or 50? Give him 60% clap. Yes, Azubike.
Father, let me just complete question 3.
Aha, so we may get 100,
yes. Right? I think that the better part is spelled out in Matthew 6:31 to 32. where Jesus was asking us to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All the
Every other
others
thing will be added
will be
unto you
added
as
to
well.
you.
Give him a round of applause. The better part is to seek the face of the Lord. The better part is to be still and know that I am God. The better part is to say, as the child Samuel said, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. That's the better part. Okay, they can get 100% applause now. Yes, Calista.
I want to answer question 2.
Yes.
What is the relationship, if any, between the parable of the Good Samaritan and the story of Martha and Mary? In the story of the Good Samaritan, the Levite and the priest were distracted because of they were going to church and did not want to make themselves
They were
dirty.
distracted like going to church. Just as these people are distracted for coming to
No.
church. Uh-huh.
And Martha, she was distracted with the serving of food. So that is why that's the relationship between the parable of this Good Samaritan.
Is that not interesting? So all these people who have come to church today are distracted for going to church?
No.
No.
In the Jewish religion, they say that you should not. The Jews have no relationship with Samaritans, so the Levite and the priest didn't want to make themselves dirty before going to church.
Is that distraction? They didn't want to make themselves dirty before going to church. Is that distraction? It's distraction. What percentage of clap should I give you? What do you suggest?
90%.
Okay, give her 90% applause. Yes.
I want to ask question 2.
Yes.
The relationship between the parable of the Good Samaritan and the story of Mary and Martha is that the priest and the Levite, they were distracted, yes, because they did not recognize the presence of God in that Samaritan.
Aha. So you have said something to complete her, to make it 90. She didn't get 90 before, she gave herself 90. They were distracted and were not able to recognize the presence of God in. They were distracted with much serving, with their rituals in the synagogue, and the fact that they will be on, and they didn't recognize Jesus. They didn't recognize the Lord in the wounded man. Give them a round of applause.
And also, Mary also recognized the presence of Jesus in her house. That's why she sat down to listen to God.
Mary recognized in Jesus, God is present. And so she sat down. Thank you very much. Yes, CJ. You see, some of these adults are too distracted. Yeah. Your daddy is distracted about your coming school fees. So he's not able to think of the answer like this. Let's forgive them. They are distracted because of you. You know. Yes.
I want to attempt question 1.
Yes.
Name 2 of the godly virtues displayed by Abraham in today's first reading. The first virtue is generosity.
Give him a round of applause.
The second virtue is gratitude.
Explain that one.
He was grateful that the angels had come to his house.
He didn't know they were angels.
He was grateful that the people came to his house.
Was he grateful they came to his house? He was happy that they stopped by, but is that gratitude? Think of another virtue so that you can get your 100%. Think of one more. You know, the way I said, say 2 of the godly virtues, meaning there are many, isn't it? Think of one more. What is that virtue when you welcome people?
Hospitality.
Now you are talking. Give him a round of applause. Generosity and hospitality. Okay, question 4 now. Yes, Henry.
So I will attempt to share what I already do.
Or what you already do?
Yes. So personally, for my mobile phones, apart from notification for calls, every other notification on my phone is off. So I only get notification for calls. So what that means
So
is,
are you going to, after Mass, help teach people how to put off those notifications? Because many people don't know what you are saying.
yeah, a lot of people know. but-
Helen doesn't know what you are saying about about notifications being off. She's old school. I'm not even sure that Ben, sitting down by you, knows those notifications. Do you know the notification?
So he knows. He knows.
Okay.
So I only get notification for calls. What it means is that my social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, any notification that comes on those phones, I don't get it.
Unless
I don't
you-
see it,
unless you
except
deliberately
I
go there.
to it, yes. So I deliberately find time to go back to my messages. I try my best not to be compelled to take every call. One of the things I have done, one of the discipline I have, is that I try to return calls when I miss them. So if I am not prepared to take a call, I don't take it. The only calls I take, which I may suspect to be an emergency, is if my dad calls me because of the health situation he's in. But he hardly calls. So I don't take any calls by compulsion. At home,
I don't take any calls by compulsion.
yes.
But some people's hands are itching them. It is not the call that is compulsory. It is the hands that are itching to take the call.
Deliberately as well, I do not enter any meetings with my phone on, the notifications on. I deliberately put them on silence.
I don't go for meetings.
Yes.
So
If I
right
enter a
now,
meeting-
your phone is on.
It's on silence
It's
completely.
on silent. It's on.
Both the notification on silence, the media, everything is on silence. So even if I mistakenly play a video, the sound won't come out. It's something I have done deliberately, and I'm trying to continue to do it. I don't watch every TV program. I have a few selected programs, flagship programs that I watch on television. I usually tell people that I'm not a TV person, but that's not the point. The point is that I have a few programs that I decide to watch, and when it is time for those programs, I stick to it. That's one of the things.
In more organized societies, there is what they call TV guide. TV guide, so you have it on your table. And you decide, you will hear that at 8 p.m. there is this drama that will be on channels or on AIT or whatever. At 8 p.m. you go to that channel and you watch that, and it is for 30 minutes and you shut that damn thing. Clearly, we need to develop the discipline. You find out whatever your favorite channel is, AIT or channels or Arise or whatever, find out what their programs, when do they do news? If it is news you are interested in, at 8 p.m., AIT has news, and it lasts for about an hour. So you want that, then if that is where you get your news for the day, you sit down and get that. Then if it is entertainment you want, what kind of entertainment? Is it just anything that comes? You decide what kind of entertainment and what channel broadcasts what entertainment at what time. And that is the one you go to and watch. Deliberate. We have to be deliberate about our food. Like Henry, I don't have Facebook on my phone. There is Facebook, but it is not functional. So if I want to go to Facebook, I have to go to my desktop, I have to go to my computer. That's where Facebook is active. I go to my computer, and I hardly do. Anthony is the one who helps me when I have something once a week to post. In fact, you reminded me this morning that the post I'm supposed to send, my audio homily that was supposed to go yesterday, it didn't go. Yeah, right? And I sent it this morning. Because I know that if you go to Facebook, it is endless. You see your friends post, and their friends post, and those others' friends post. So since you are jobless, so you have to have that discipline. And if you know you are not able to fully discipline yourself, then take it out of your phone. And you can always go if they tell you there's something interesting there. In fact, If it is something interesting, you will get it. Somebody will send it to you deliberately. Do you understand? If it is something that you must see, you will see it. I mean, there is information deluge. There is diarrhea of information. Really, diarrhea of information. And we have to learn to choose. And if you don't learn to choose, you become an addict. And many people that are sitting here are addicts. Collect their phone from them and they will have withdrawal syndrome. If you cannot do half a day without phone, I say you are sick. What did I say? I say you are sick. Something is wrong. You are addicted. If you cannot do half a day. Felicia, how do you people cope when you are attending to patients? Is it as you are attending to patients, you are carrying phone to answer? No, they may be calling the supervisor, they may be calling the consultant for now that you are saying this, let me ask you, will you be happy if a doctor is attending to you and is answering social calls? No. This is what I'm saying. Will you be happy? No. If you won't be happy, then you can't do it to somebody when you are attending to anybody. And it's not just doctor, any kind of work. You're attending to somebody. You go to police station to report a serious issue. Then the police is chatting with a friend. Will you be happy with that? And if people are addicted, then that will be happening a lot. May the Lord heal us of this addiction. May He give us the discipline we all need so that this beautiful thing that we got, this beautiful technology called mobile communication, let it not start running our lives. May we be the one using it, not that thing called phone using us. Amen. Give him a round of applause. Welcoming the Lord. The Christian scriptures teach what it means to welcome the Lord. The Lord often appears in the form of a tired stranger, weary strangers, and stranded people. When such unknown guests, CJ, listen to this. That's why I say it's not gratitude, right? When such unknown guests are welcomed with generosity and kindness and utmost attention, abundant blessings do follow. Abraham and the angels at the Oak of Mamre is an example of welcoming a stranger only to discover that it is the angel of God. How many of you remember the soap touched by an angel? Good. Elijah and the widow of Zarephath. 1 Kings 17, 7-24. Jesus says in Matthew 25:43, I was a stranger and you made me welcome. As you did it for the least of my brethren, you did it for me. The result in the case of Abraham is the promise of a son, even in his old age. In the case of the poor widow with Elijah, it is the end to the prolonged drought and the raising back to life of the widow's son. Read that passage. It's a very interesting one, especially the aspect of the son dying and then beginning to blame the prophet for coming to his house. Mm-hmm. In the story of the Last Judgment, Jesus says, come, take for your inheritance the kingdom prepared for you, for as you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it for me. Now, the gospel shows how Jesus, while on his way to Jerusalem, stopped over at the house of his friends, Martha and Mary, and at Bethany. By this time, Jesus was becoming a persona non grata. He was a security risk. In fact, since they were looking for Jesus to arrest anybody who harbors Jesus, he or she too was taking a risk. Many people would rather not associate with him at that time. Martha and Mary welcomed him with all excitement. They demonstrated their love in their different ways. While Mary sat at the feet of Jesus, Martha was busy alone with the chores. When Martha complained to Jesus about how Mary has left her to do all the running around alone, Jesus must have shocked her with the answer. Martha, Martha. Please take note. Whenever, throughout the scriptures, whenever somebody's name is called twice, it is for emphasis. It is to draw the attention of the person. Listen, listen. It's like drawing your ear. Listen. Pay attention. Take note. Martha, Martha. It is not enough that he called Martha once. Martha, Martha. This is very important. You worry and you fret about so many things. I hope you know that this was a family that Jesus used to go to from time to time. So Jesus knows the character of Martha. Jesus knows that Martha has the disposition to worry and to fret. And that is a problem. And many of us are like Martha. We worry and we fret about many things. But it says, only few are needed. Just think about it. If you write down now, we don't have the time. Otherwise, I could ask you to sit down, write down all the things you worry about. At the end of the day, we can knock off so many things and discover that it's only one or two that are needed. And he says, it is Mary that has chosen the good portion, and it shall not be taken away from her. Jesus implies that in all her fret and worry over many things, Martha has forgotten the one thing that was necessary. They say the saint, what the Christians have taught us through the last 2,000 years is that the saint is the one who knows the one thing that is important. Can we say that together? The saint is the one who knows the one thing that is important. You see, when we come into the world, we get attracted to so many things and get distracted with so many things. But we can even see it in the life, in material life. As people get older, right? These things begin to narrow. Begin to narrow towards the one thing that is important. Philip, how many things, my mother, how many things is she interested in now? Right? Narrowing down. All she wants now is to die and go to heaven. That's the only thing she wants. She doesn't want any other thing. And she thinks that my sister and I are prolonging the process. For Jesus, Mary exemplifies the true disciple, hearing the word and pondering upon it. That's what a disciple is. A disciple is one who hears the word and who ponders upon it. We are told earlier in the gospel that when at the presentation of Jesus, Simeon spoke about the child, Mary listened and pondered these things in her heart. That is what is important for the disciple. In Martha, the word faced the risk of being choked by many cares and worries. You remember the story of the sower who went out to sow, and the part that went into thorns was choked because of the cares and worries over so many things. Christian service or Christian activism is useless if it does not spring from contemplating the face of God. If it does not spring from listening to God's voice, hearing God's word, reflecting upon it. In recent years, in recent decades or centuries, there's been too much being made about vocal prayer. And now we have experts in praying, whereas there are no experts in Christian prayer. And people talk a lot. People put too many words into prayer. But actually, the root of Christian prayer is submission. And submission doesn't need many words. Right? Submission doesn't need many words. The root of Christian prayer is submission. It is paying attention. It is being silent before the Lord. Today's gospel comes immediately after the Good Samaritan story, as if to balance social activism with quiet contemplation. The activism of the Good Samaritan, who was going around and saw this person wounded and stopped. You can see that the priest and the Levite were going for prayer. They couldn't be disturbed, like Mary, as it were. They were going for prayer to listen to the Lord. They couldn't be disturbed. But the Good Samaritan knew that aspect of sorting out a wounded child of God is part of worship. So there needs to be a balance. Kalisa, are you listening? There needs to be a balance between work for God, work for the Lord, and being in the presence of God. And actually, be in the presence of God in order to have the energy to do work for God. Otherwise, you may be on your own. Right? You may be on your own. Can we read this together? The love of neighbor as oneself flows from and is inspired by the love of God with all one's heart. Again. The love of neighbor as oneself flows from and is inspired by the love of God with all one's heart. Christian service can become empty, can be devoid of meaning, if the Christian loses focus on the essential element of Christianity. And what is the essential element of Christianity? It is the practice of the presence of God. Henry, did we distribute that book at some point in the past? Brother Lawrence. It's a small book that I have shared here before on the practice of the presence of God. That's the title, The Practice of the Presence of God. Google it and download it and read. It's written by a 17th century French monk who learned how to be in the presence of God throughout the day. Who learned how to be in the presence of God throughout the day. Whether it's mopping the floor or washing the dishes or doing whatever. A practice. And it is a practice. It is something that you have to develop through practice. How to be in the presence of God. And how to recognize God in every detail. In everything you see. And I call that practice of the presence of God prayer in its most pure form. Spiritual teachers have taught us that this one we shout and shake roof. That is the most crude form of prayer. The more pure form of prayer is silence in the presence of God. Actually, if we grow in faith and we grow in understanding the mysteries of God, then we will know that the closer we are to God, the more silent we become because we are before an awesome mystery. We can't be noisy before this almighty mystery. No, you can't be noisy. The more noisy you are, the more suspicious our spiritual teachers are as to whether it is the God they know that you are talking to. That's true. I mean, you just take time and read through and study what people have seen when it comes to relating with God over the centuries. And then you begin the journey with noise, right? You begin the journey with noise. It's human. But as you advance in the journey, your noise reduces, and it reduces completely to silence. Silenced by the most powerful of all powers. Defeated by the almighty power. Silenced, defeated. Have you heard the expression moved to silence? Right? Those of you who do not know about this, please Google the sound of silence. There's a music. It's a particular musical track produced by Paul Simon and Garconfer, called The Sound of Silence. Please listen to it. It's one of the most moving musical pieces that have ever produced in the 20th century. The Sound of Silence. Paul Simon and Garfunkel, yes. It's in the late 60s, I think, or the early in the 70s that it was produced. The Sound of Silence. Not to have our focus on God is to lose the better part. You see, we have been taught by spiritual teachers and people who have spent time before the Lord that whatever problem you have, whatever your issues, you are bereaved, or you just failed an exam, or you just failed to get a contract, or you look for a job, didn't get, whatever, the numerous problems we have, including the problems we have of security in the country, that to go before the Lord, especially in our case, to go before the Blessed Sacrament and sit down there for a while, and just sit down there in silence, chances are that by the time you get up, you experience the peace that surpasses understanding. Not on account of what you went to say to God, but on account of what God has spoken to your soul. May we have that attention to be able to recognize that voice of God that speaks peace to our hearts. Jesus appreciated the role of Martha. She was contributing immensely to welcoming him. She was being generous and hospitable like Abraham. She was being a good Samaritan. But Jesus had to speak up in defense of her sister, Mary, when Martha would otherwise want her condemned. I hope you know that in our own system, in the Catholic Church, we have religious, we have priests and monks, we have monks and nuns who spend all their life in silence. Are they busy? Yes, they are busy in silence. So we have monks that not only take our vow of poverty and obedience and whatever, they also take the one of silence. So their entire life is in silence. And they are glorifying God in silence. Because the God of all greatness, one of the greatest forms of worship of the Almighty God is what? Silence. And especially in a noisy world like our own, in a world that is so distracted like today's world, we need more and more people who will devote their lives to silence. To teach people that man does not live by noise alone. We need many Marthas in today's world, but perhaps we need many more Marys. Many more Marys who know how to be in the presence of God and how to listen to his word and be guided by the word of God. In today's world of excessive busyness and aggressive competition for power, competition for influence, competition for everything. I mean, people are posting every day, and as they are posting, the problem about social media is that you post something, and 5 minutes after you want to go and check how many people. You can't win. You want to go and check how many people have watched your post. And then when you discover that after 1 hour, after 1 day, only 3 people watched it, you become depressed. Whereas, you probably become depressed because you know that Bobrisky's post, that 1 million people have watched it. Then you say, how come my own, only 3 people have watched it? And you feel very sad. It is bringing its own form of depression. When you begin to judge yourself by how many people view your post, then you run into depression. That's another dimension. Apart from addiction, that's another dimension. You begin to judge. I hope you know that some people are hanging themselves over that. You know that there is this, it's part of cyberbullying. People are killing themselves for discovering that many people, you snap your best, put on your best makeup and snap and put on Instagram. and put on Instagram with all the 3 inches of eyelashes and so on and so forth. only to discover that since yesterday only 5 people have viewed. Then more so, out of the 5 people that viewed it, 3 did like this. So, in a world of excessive busyness and aggressive competition, many people are too busy, too anxious, and over too many things, whereas only few are needed, only few are essential. Unfortunately, the few essential things are often neglected. Jesus does not want his disciples to live anxious and troubled lives. He wants us to live wholesome lives of serenity, contentment, and quiet submission to his word and his will. He wants us against allowing the cares and worries of this world to stifle the word. Luke 8:14. He says we should not even be anxious about what we will eat or put on. Luke 21:34. He says man does not live on bread alone. Matthew 4:4. He says his food is to do the will of the one who sent him. John 4:34. Jesus' challenge today is as follows. Can you read? Slow down the pace of your life. Again. Slow down the pace of your life. 2. Do not join the bandwagon in the destructive rat race to make more and more money, to build more houses and acquire more properties, to become popular or famous. That is the biggest disease in town. The biggest epidemic in town is the epidemic of celebrity, acute celebrity syndrome, to become popular, to have millions following you. And because we have not made time to think, we have never sat down to ask ourselves, so what does it mean that millions are following me? So what? So what? It's money. I mean, we have found ourselves in a generation where the most idiotic people have the greatest number of people following them. Right? And they make money by that. Just if you can summon, maybe smoke a little Igbo so that you can remove your bra in public and whatever. Plenty of people will follow you and you will make plenty of money. Who wants to go and try it? Now, but doesn't that say something about our generation? Yes. It says something about our generation. That's why we should be very suspicious of whatever is popular. Be very suspicious of whatever is popular. Because the most idiotic things are popular today. And people who are following are making a lot of... Azubike, it looks like you don't know that they are making a lot of money. Explaining to you. Oh, because you are old school. Okay. To buy the rat race to buy the latest cars and electronic gadgets, to wear designer shoes and clothes, to gather more and more honorary degrees, chieftaincy titles, and other honors. Do not join, read the next one. Do not join the maddening crowd in becoming slaves of whatever fad or fashion is trending. I mean, a lot of people do things because they are trending. Not because it particularly appeals to you, but because it is trending. Why won't you live your whole life? Why won't you live your whole life? Just do things because they are trending. It just shows that, we have too many teenagers, even some 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds are teenagers. It is teenagers that cannot live their own life. They have to live according to how their mates are. Instead, pay attention. Stop now and again to reflect. For as Socrates says, a life not reflected upon is not worth living. We need quality time to be with the Lord. Modern men and women find it difficult to slow down. As a result of excessive busyness, many live empty, destructive lives, meaningless and purposeless lives. So people are depressed. People are on drugs. People are addicted. People are fighting every day because they don't have serene lives. No wonder the high rate of alcoholism and drug addiction, depression and nervous breakdown, marital instability and divorce, stress-related diseases, violence and crime. This is the picture of our lives today. The way it is outside, that is how it is inside many people. Oh. In the heart, this is how the heart of many people are crowded. Oh. Busy, noisy, anxious, aggressive, and destructive life. Where are we going? Police safe. And a lot of these things just show that people are not thinking. Because if they were thinking, they wouldn't do what we are seeing. Helen, this is not like the GRA where I live. This is not like the GRA, you know. Smartphone addiction. Where are we going? Even toilets have. Actually, some of you cannot see. There is newspaper on the ground. There's newspaper. See the newspaper rack there. He was reading some newspaper and listening to the phone and working on computer. Where are we going? That guy is sick, isn't it? But he's at the extreme end of that sickness. But many people are at early stages of that sickness. Now, you see family. I don't know if you can see the picture on the right, below, down on the right. Actually, there are many people. That picture was taken at a train station, people waiting to board a train. And you can have 20 people waiting, and all of them, nobody is talking to one another. All of them are... I mean, it's very interesting to go to a waiting lounge of an airport today, or train station. People used to chat, make new friends while waiting. Now, no. And there are people who, a family, okay, I missed putting that picture there. A family is gathered. There's a picture of, how many of you got it? Of a family that went to greet their grandfather. Yes. They went to visit their grandfather. And there were about 6 or 7 who went to visit their grandfather, but each one of them was on their phone, and their grandfather was left stranded. It's like, what did these people come to do here? Because nobody paid attention to the grandfather. Because they are addicted to the mobile phone. We need quality time to be with the Lord and to be in touch with our inner being. A life not reflected upon is not worth living. This is the only way to meaningful and purposeful life. Reflection, prayer, silence. Our daily lives are often taken up by a round of chores and duties which fall into 2 categories. Some are essential, urgent, and some are urgent and essential. Many things that make demands on our time are urgent, but only few are essential. Yet, like matter, we often spend most of our time on urgent but non-essential things. I've explained that to you before. We must learn to distinguish between the two. And like Mary, give priority to the essential things in life. I've explained this diagram before. You see, urgent and important. Like Henry said, if I get a call from my father because my father is not well, if I get a call from my father, it will be urgent and important. He doesn't just call anyhow. Anytime he calls, it means my attention is needed urgently. So that's urgent and important. But then there are urgent things that are not important. There are some things that are urgent. Your friend that calls you 4 times a day is calling. When the phone is ringing, it's urgent, isn't it? When the phone is ringing, it's urgent. It's urgent, but is it important? No. Then there are some things that are urgent but not important. Sorry, that are not urgent but important. Example, to spend time with the Lord praying. It's not urgent. It's not urgent to go and kneel down. It's not urgent to come to the chapel and sit before the Blessed Sacrament. It's not urgent, but it is important. Actually, that part in white is the most important part. The things that are not urgent, but important. It is during that time that you prepare for life. It is not urgent for you to go and read a book, to read a book a week. Is that urgent? Is it important? Yes. Most of the important things in life are not urgent. To pray is not urgent, but it is important. To read is not urgent, but it is important. To study is not urgent, but it is important. Then there are not urgent and not important things. And many people spend time scrolling through Facebook, strolling through any post on Facebook, sitting down with your remote control to scroll through channels. Some people have visited every channel on DSTV. Not urgent, not important, but they spend hours doing that. St. Augustine says that the Lord has created us for himself and our hearts are restless until they rest in him. Beyond asking for our daily needs, therefore, to pray is what? Can you read? To pray is
To seek ultimate meaning in life.
to contemplate the face of God,
To operate intimacy with God.
to rest in the presence of God, to listen to God as he speaks his healing and liberating word to us. We must learn to slow down to find meaning in our day. Prayer for many people is no more than reciting formulas, reading a long list of requests, which I call shopping list, or some shouting enterprise each time. But Christian prayer is much more than these. Ultimate prayer is not about words. Prayer is communion with God. Prayer is resting in God's presence. Prayer is the silent expression of the soul's profound longing. We often think that our longing, if I ask you, what is your most profound longing? Oh, to get that job, to get a good husband, to get that contract I'm looking for. No, that is not your most profound longing. Your most profound longing has nothing to do with these material things. I was sharing with some people yesterday. I said, when in penny catechism, in your catechism class, when you learn who made you, God made you, why did God make you? He says, God made me, God made us to know him, to love him, and to serve him, and to be happy with him in this world and in the next. Where is contract in that one? Where is marriage in that one? Where are children in that one? Meaning that the most important things in life are not material. Do you understand? And what our heart longs for, because you see, it is only when our hearts long for our purpose, for the realization of the purpose for which God created us, that's the only way we can find fulfillment. I don't know if you get that point. If God created us to know him, to love him, and to serve him, then it is only everything we do to lead to that we find fulfillment. If we put all our attention in other things that are not exactly towards knowing, loving, and serving him, then we have placed our attention on the wrong things, and we will never find fulfillment. I mean, this microphone was made to enlarge voice. If I use this microphone to break palm kernel, if I want to use it to break palm kernel, will it serve the purpose? It will not break it, and I will spoil good. So we need to constantly seek, what is my purpose? Above all. Not that we don't need other things. Right? So that's why the passage, seek ye the kingdom of God and his righteousness first. Every other thing will be added to you. Not that we don't need other things, but what is the most profound thing that our soul needs? Perhaps the highest form of worship is silence in the presence of God. Can you read? We need to find God and he can't not be found in noise and restlessness. God is the friend of silence. See how the elements of nature, trees, flowers, grass, grow in silence. See the stars, the moon and the sun, how they move in silence. We need silence to be able to touch other souls. Next, the busier your life is and the more noisy your environment, the more you need silent time. You see, if your life is silent normally, then you may not need separate silence time. But the more busy, and the life of many people sitting down here and those watching us is very busy, the more you need silent time. When I ask people here to say, look, every Sunday after Mass, when you get home, put off your phone for the rest of the day. It's as if it's a difficult thing to do. So when do you have silence in your life? When? From Monday to Saturday, your life is full of noise and busyness and so on. So if you cannot do that for yourself on Sunday, and I hope you know that we have an obligation to keep Sunday holy. And part of it is to be silent, to be in the presence of God. So the more busy your life, the more you need separate times to be silent. Next, silence is God's first language. Everything else is a poor translation. Again, silence is God's first language. Everything else is a poor translation. In order to hear that language, we must learn to be still and rest in God. Devotional silence is a way of giving attention to God and obeying his command. See, Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 20. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Lamentations 3:26. Wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. And Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. The Lord says in Psalm 46, verse 10 again. Be still and know that I am God. Let's close your eyes for a moment as you reflect on that. Be still and know that I am God. Slow me down, O Lord, is the pounding of my heart. Slow me down, O Lord, by the quieting of my mind. Slow me down, O Lord, amidst the turbulence of my day. Give me the calmness of the hills. Slow me down, O Lord. Give me the calmness of the hills. Slow me down, O Lord. Slow me down, O Lord, and help me to know the magical restorative power of sleep. Slow me down, O Lord, and teach me the art of taking a few minutes of vacation. Taking time off to pat a child. Taking a break to look at the sky. Pausing for a while to admire a plant, to chat with a friend, and to read a few lines of a good poem. Slow me down, O Lord. Slow me down, O Lord. Make the pounding of my heart. Slow me down, O Lord, by the quieting of my mind. Slow me down, O Lord, amidst the turbulence of my day. Give me the calmness of the hills. Slow me down, O Lord. Slow me down, Lord, and remind me each day that the race is not always to the swift. Slow me down, Lord, and make me realize that there is more to life than increasing speed. Slow me down, Lord, and make me live indeed. Help me to see clearly that life is not a competition, but a celebration. Yes, slow me down, Lord. Slow me down, O Lord, is the pounding of my heart. Slow me down, O Lord, by the quieting of my mind. Slow me down, O Lord, amidst the turbulence of my day. Give me the calmness of the hills. Slow me down, O Lord. Slow me down, Lord, and give me the calmness of the everlasting hills. Inspire me to send my roots deep into the soil of life's enduring values. Slow me down, Lord, that I may grow towards the start of that great destiny that lies in eternity. Yes, slow me down, Lord. Slow me down, O Lord, is the pounding of my heart. Slow me down, O Lord, by the quieting of my mind. Slow me down, O Lord, amidst the turbulence of my day. Give me the calmness of the hills. Slow me down, O Lord.